I need you to knock some sense into me. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I don't know.
I enjoy listening to you. I don't always agree with everything.
All right, enough of this persiflage.
So, you want my question?
I'm certainly not going to get myself in trouble by telling you what to do.
That makes great sense. Gosh, that's good.
Did I overwhelm you with words and wisdom?
I've got 7 kids. I feel like I could call you every day.
Wait, you're telling me I'm wrong? Disconnect.
Yes, I am, Dr. Ray.
You just need to tune in to Dr. Ray, honey. He's got all the answers.
Am I right or am I right?
Probably.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
I played my computer at chess. It clobbered me. Absolutely clobbered me. So I changed the game to kickboxing. It had no chance. It was no match for me in kickboxing. Nice to have you here on The Doctor Is In. This is the variant, the Monday variant of The Doctor Is In. This is E-Person Monday. My talk to text, when I send out notices to folks that I've addressed their question, I always send them a notice that I've addressed your question on an E-Person Monday, and the talk to text can never, ever, ever get E-Person right. It says each person, some kind of E with another letter after it, and I always have to go back and change it to E-Person. And why do I want to say E-Person? Because I don't want to say email. Again, it's patriarchal. It's linguistically insensitive. And if nothing else, I am sensitive. At least linguistically. So, in a short period of time, we will tackle. Oh, that's kind of violent, isn't it? We will target. Oh, that's even worse. Oh. We will kick around your. No, jeez. We will embrace your e-persons and talk about them. And I appreciate you all sending them in. So I got a bunch here on my phone and a stack over there. We'll get to that shortly. Picture the scenario. It's a young baby in the womb. His womb environment is not good. His womb environment is bathed in toxins, alcohol, drugs. Not good at all for the developing brain. Not at all. Affects it. Affects its ability to make judgments. Affects its ability to think. Affects its ability to anticipate. All what they call executive functions of the frontal cerebral cortex are the ones most easily affected. So this little one is born. He's born healthy. I mean, there's no obvious signs of damage from his hostile womb environment. He's neglected. First 3 years of life, he's just been neglected. He didn't get much hugs and kisses. His mother or father or whomever it was that was responsible for him was incredibly irresponsible, was either into all kinds of self-destructive behavior, and for the most part, this little one got minimal love, minimal attention. He's a victim. He's a victim. And if you knew about him personally, you'd be tragically sad. You'd say, this is awful. This is horrible. That poor, poor baby. Look at him. My heart breaks for him. 3 more years go by, and it's more of the same. He's got the, at best, a somewhat unstable home life, but not enough to have him be removed from his parent or parents. But it's more of the same. Lack of guidance, lack of supervision. He's already been put in front of a screen. 6 more years go by. Now he's 12. 6 more years of very, very poor parental involvement. Matter of fact, in some respects, bad in parental involvement in terms of what he was exposed to, what he saw, how he was treated, what occupied his time. Starting to roam the streets. Nobody cares if he roams the streets or not. School's a struggle, but since his parents aren't really monitoring him, and it's not really parents either, because dad or baby dad has long since left. He's 12. Still viewed as a victim, pretty much by most people. He's a victim. He is starting to act out pretty significantly, but people are still understanding. They're still understanding that, holy mackerel, look at his history. Look at the poor kid, didn't get much of a chance of anything. 6 more years go by. He's 18. Same lack of supervision, same mistreatment, perhaps abuse. Certainly immersed in all kinds of stuff on the internet, pornography, vile games, whatever. Roaming. Nobody really protecting him. He's getting himself involved in all kinds of dangerous, self-destructive stuff. Age 19. He commits a terrible crime. Terrible crime. At that point, most people look at him as a predator. He's a predator. He's evil. He's awful. He's a waste of a human being. Put him in prison for life. Actually, no. Give him the death penalty if you can. So what happened? For years and years, he was viewed as a victim, as someone who really wasn't given much of a chance. And then at some point, nothing really changed in his life at all, just more of the same. Ugly, ugly, ugly stuff, misshaping stuff. What changed was us. We changed. Somehow we then saw him as responsible for what he did. And, of course, he is. But yet our view of him, so negative, so ugly, changed. He went from being someone we felt sorry for to someone we wanted no part of. Someone we knew should just be locked up. No visitors. I'm not trivializing that kind of antisocial, immoral, vile behavior that a person like that is capable of. I'm not trivializing at all. I'm not making excuses for it. I'm not saying they can't help be held responsible. And I'm not saying society shouldn't protect itself. Absolutely. But I guess maybe keeping in mind what he got, what he was exposed to, would soften our view toward him. I have a fellow that I met while visiting a relative in prison. This fellow's in his 40s now. He's been in prison about 15 years. Was accused and convicted of a vile crime. He's had no visitors. None. Zero. Zip. Nada. Nobody's gone to see him. Why? He's a murderer. That's right. I don't have time to visit guys like that. I don't have time to talk to guys like that. But I heard about his upbringing. It certainly wasn't the greatest. Back when I was in the evangelical world, I had a Bible study at the county jail. The chaplain there was an ex-Catholic. And he told me the only reason he allowed me to start a Bible study at that county jail was because at that time I was not in the Catholic Church. If I would have been Catholic, he wouldn't have allowed it. But I was in the evangelical world at that time, and he commented, he said, well, you're not really Catholic anymore, so. I listened to the guys, I listened to their stories, listened to their upbringing. Now, this is just a county jail, okay? This is not a hard time, level 3 prison, level 4. I kept thinking, what would I be like if that was my life? I don't think I'd be here leading the Bible study. I might be here taking part in it. It's eye-opening. Of course, as a psychologist, my eyes are opened all the time because I see some of the stuff that people grew up with. And I understand somewhat why they're doing what they're doing. Again, not trivializing it. Not saying they can't be held accountable. Not saying that society has to protect itself. But I'm simply saying it softens my view toward a lot of folks who I know have had vicious, vile, unloving upbringings. Dr. Ray.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com. Food for the Journey's Sister Ann Shields.
Sometimes people will say to me, I try to follow God, but it's just too hard, or it's just too much, or I don't hear him, or I don't know him. And I always ask the question, how much time do you spend with him? How much time do you give God? Even if you start out giving God 15 minutes a day, first thing in the morning if you can, but 15 minutes a day, read his word, read the scripture readings for the Mass that day. But read his word and ask God to speak to your heart. He's going to draw you to himself. No wonder we're so harried and so distressed in so many ways. And I know there are external things, but when we trust the Lord, when we know we're not alone with our difficulties, we find a peace. Even in the middle of the storm, we can find a peace because God will share his own life with us. Really urge you, brothers and sisters, please, make God the center of your life, the center of your priorities. Let him be the determining factor for what you do, what you don't do, what your relationships are like. Let him be the determining factor, and you're going to know a peace and a happiness that the world, and no matter what the world throws at us, will not be able to take away from you.
Food for the Journey with Sister Ann Shields can be now heard on the audio archives page at AveMariaRadio.net.
Thank you for joining me here on The Doctor Is In. This is E-Person Monday, so let us jump on. No, kind of sounds a little rough again, too manly of language. Let us address this E-Person. Homeschooled young adult daughter believes she's more attracted to girls than guys. This upsets her, as she believes her vocation to be marriage and family. She is okay when life is busy, but becomes down, as in depressed. When stuff slows down and she considers her future, she's a solid Catholic, has a great prayer life. Questions, Dr. Ray. How did we get here? Answer: I don't know. I don't know what it is that in her mind she believes she is attracted to the same sex. I don't know whether she was confused all the way back as a young kid. I don't know whether she had friends that she felt close to, and then that kind of morphed into an attraction. That happens sometimes with young girls. I don't know whether she sees guys as threatening and women are safer. I don't know what it would be, and I think that's something to explore with her. I am guessing, Dr. Ray, that it came through library books. I'm wondering, how is this? She's a ferocious reader. Also through church friends and friends from homeschool groups. So what Mom is saying is that there was some influence by friends. Now, I'm familiar personally with many cases of same-sex attraction among females, which is a stage, and they pass through it for many reasons. Okay, it isn't necessarily something that is permanent for them. Can counseling with a good Catholic counselor help reverse this? There's an interesting catch to all this. The various states have various stances for counselors under their umbrella, which is you cannot give counseling to someone who has same-sex attraction to leave or change that same-sex attraction. I know that sounds funny to you, but that is the way it is, and I'm not sure which states and how they approach all of this. So I think at some point you might have to find someone who is not bound by the idea that if somebody comes in and said, I am uncomfortable with my same-sex attraction, I would like to pursue other things that would belong to a heterosexual lifestyle, that they would be able to explore the reasons why this person has the same-sex attraction, the reasons, perhaps morally, this young lady's a Catholic. She's a faith-filled Catholic. Okay, so for her, this could be a moral issue. Understandably, that has to be respected. You can't simply say, well, we don't care that it's a moral issue. This is who she is. No, who she is also her Catholic faith. Very much so her Catholic faith. As a matter of fact, in her mind, it's probably the core of who she is. So, I would say this, Mom. Find a good counselor that is willing to work with this and is able to work with it within the state guidelines. How important is this for her? Well, I think it depends a lot on her confusion. I have seen those who have same-sex attraction. I had a client once who did very strong same-sex attraction, but he got married. He got married and he had 5 kids. So given that he knew that he was still attracted that way, I think he was abused young. And yet he said, I want to live this kind of life instead. And he did. So it isn't automatic that because you have same-sex attraction, you cannot pursue another vocation. Our culture makes you think that, but that's not accurate. It's not realistic. And it certainly isn't automatic. Okay? Daddy is very reluctant to get counseling and is unaware of the problem. Well, I don't know why that would be. Imagine the girl is trying to keep it quiet and only between her and Mom. Okay, can I recommend resources? Yes. CatholicTherapist.com, CatholicPsychotherapy.org, CatholicCounselors.com. Those are all places where you can, in fact, look to see someone who indeed practices their counseling with respect towards someone's Catholic faith. Let's see what we got here on this one. I'm 45 years old and was born and raised Catholic. My wife is 47 and is Orthodox. We have 3 children who are all baptized Catholic and being raised in the faith. The issue I'm having is that my wife wants me to get a vasectomy and is very mad at me for refusing because of my Catholic faith. I don't want to paint my wife as the bad guy here. If there's a bad guy, it would be me. Okay, and I'm going to find out why he thinks that. Early on in our marriage, we had a discussion about family planning, and I said that at some point I'd get a vasectomy. I was ignorant at the time and didn't realize that went against church teaching. A few years later, I forgot about that early marriage conversation, and I learned that it's against the Catholic faith. Well, this is not unusual where someone becomes deeper into what our Lord teaches through his church and then says, I've made some life decisions that don't fit well with what our Lord has taught through his church. And then sometimes that puts strains, definitely, on a marriage. After our third child was born, my wife decided to go on birth control because I was refusing to have the vasectomy. I told her I didn't like the idea of her being on birth control either, and looking back, I probably should have pushed for NFP then, natural family planning. Recently, this is no surprise, her doctor told her she should stop taking birth control and suggested I should have the operation. Now, see that? Now, first of all, this doctor apparently, if that's what he or she did, is essentially ignoring what the man believes at his very most level. The doctor's going, well, you need to do this, whether you believe in it or you don't. I was relieved she wouldn't be taking the pill anymore, but when we discussed the operation, I still refused, and she's still very upset with me. When I mentioned NFP, she stayed quiet, and now I'm getting the silent treatment. Here's the key. We have a healthy marriage in a lot of ways. I feel like I'm being unfair to my wife, and having the operation would make things easier, but because of my faith, I can't bring myself to do it. Not really sure what to do at this point. Well, it's not either or. You can explain natural family planning to your wife, and you can explain your role in it, in the abstinence part of it, and tell her it is, in fact, probably more effective than the pill without the side effects. She's probably thinking, we're just going to have more kids, and I don't want more kids. And that would probably be a reason, given that she's not in the same faith parallel that you are, for practicing natural family planning. If you can convince her of the specifics of it, to say to yourself, it would be easier if I were to compromise or reject a very core part of Catholic moral teaching. I don't think that would be good for you or your wife in that sense. I think right now you're at a little bit of an impasse, but I think with some explanation, with some humility, with some cooperation on your part regarding natural family planning, you can convince her this is the most loving thing to do. And also get some information on why the church teaches this. Thank you for joining me here on The Doctor Is In. It's Dr. Ray Guarendi. Let's see, where am I looking at here? I'm scrolling through my phone. This is always the hard part. I should print all these out. And then after I print them out, Let's see what Ruby has to say. Okay, yes, this refers... Okay. I just caught part of a call between you and a woman whose mother has dementia and is in an assisted care facility. All right, now remember, that's my out. She caught part of a call. She doesn't know the context or what I said previous, or usually when they catch part of a call, it's the end. They don't generally catch the beginning and then have to go away. The mother, according to the caller, was getting combative because she's being woke up when she doesn't want to be. Could this behavior also be a sign of fear? Not knowing who these people are, or maybe even not knowing where she is. Cheryl. Now, I wrote back to Cheryl and said, Cheryl, absolutely. I suggested this to the caller as the mother was unsure exactly what was going on when these people were coming into her room. Yes, very common. My grandmother was 96 when she passed away, so she spent the last 2, 3, 4 years in an extended care nursing home, memory care unit. She absolutely went crazy when they came in and tried to shower her. She didn't know what that meant. She didn't know what it was. She couldn't interpret it. And probably the stream hitting her, maybe she was sensitive in some way, hitting her skin. Don't exactly know how she interpreted the shower, but it was fear. It was incredible fear. So it's not unusual for someone who is in some stage of dementia to not be able to interpret what is going on, and either in fear, like my grandmother, just scream and scream and scream, or swing. Not unusual. And the one thing you can't do is you can't look at it and go, why are they so nasty? What's with them? She answered me again. She says, my grandmother is dealing with the similar type stuff, except she is at home and getting at-home care. Most of the family seems to think that she is just not getting what she wants and is getting mad. Now, see, this often happens when a person is in some various stages of dementia, especially toward the end or even the middle, when they have certain parts of their personality still functioning pretty well. So as long as parts of the personality are functioning well, you think, okay, well, they've got control over this. Come on, they don't need to do this. They don't need to scream. They don't need to cuss. They don't need to swing. They don't need to be aggressive. Come on. An hour ago, she was fine. She was eating breakfast. The problem with that is dementia slowly takes away your control. It does. So that even though the person can have calmer moments, lucid moments, moments that seem to be reasonably well functioning, doesn't mean it's going to be all time. And unless the person really becomes deteriorated, some of the caregivers, some of the family, have a hard time switching gears and thinking, okay, wait. This is Dad. He's not fully in control of what he's saying here. Can't believe he did that. I'll give you a small example. I have a friend who got enormously upset because this elderly gentleman from her church came to her house. She knew him. Well, he immediately tried to kiss her. Just tried to kiss her. She went crazy. She's just like, what is you doing about it? Just upset her terribly. And as they described the situation to me, I asked some questions. And what was clear to me was it sounded like he's on the front end of dementia and his governor was slipping. And as it turned out, over time, that's the way it was. That it became clear he was struggling with dementia. But when he tried to kiss her, she took it immediately as a sexual assault when, yeah, it was topographically, in other words, the way it looked, but it wasn't intentionally. She goes on with her letter here. To me, when I came in and I saw her arguing with the home care people and getting more upset, it looked to me to be more like fear. Possibly not knowing who this caretaker was. As soon as I came towards the room and called out my usual greeting, she quit arguing and relaxed a good bit. She still seemed on edge during our visit. I will push the idea, Dr. Ray, of fear a bit more to my family so that maybe, looking at this differently, a better plan can be made for her. Yeah, and I think part of it might be if you have somebody there that she knows so she feels secure. I'll share with you a very uneven parallel. Don't mishear me on this one. We have a Rottweiler. Now, we had a bigger Rottweiler some years ago till he passed away. We called him Tank. Big boy, intimidating, but gentle, just a gentle giant. I have a friend, you might know him, his name's Marcus Grodi. For some reason, Mark was in the neighborhood, and he came to the house, and he knocked on the door, and he started to come in. Oh, my gosh. Tank was... And I went over... Mark immediately shut the door. Mark's a big dude. He's 6'4". Immediately shut the door. And I went over and I said, Tank, he's okay. Tank immediately settled down because I was there. He saw somebody familiar, me, not scared, in the middle of the situation. Mark came in and Tank was just all over him, kissing him and hugging him and everything else. But he didn't know. Now, I'm not drawing a parallel here between folks in some stage of dementia and an animal. But I'm saying the fear component has some parallels. If they don't know, if they're not sure who this person is, and a lot of times home care people change. If they're not sure as the dementia progresses, they can be scared. And depending upon their personality, their pre-dementia personality, maybe a guy who is pretty assertive and pretty capable of taking care of himself, well, the first thing he would do is lash out. Or a shy, retiring, low-profile woman, well, maybe she would be scared and cry and sob. So that's always something you got to explore. Starting my Christmas shopping, which is unusual for a guy. I mean, typically I do pretty much all my Christmas shopping at maybe 20 till midnight, Christmas Eve, thereabout. So I figured I tried to do some shopping. Didn't work out. I tried to walk into Target last night, but I missed. Sorry. All right, E-Person Monday. Dr. Ray. Doctor is in. Hi, Dr. Ray. My daughter went through nursing training in the Army last year. She met and trained with a nice man, and now they plan on marriage. All right, so my first question is, what's the plan? Is it 2 years from now? Is it when she musters out? What is it? My husband and I don't know how to advise her. She knows her catechism requirements. Well, okay, this is a case, just speculating here, it sounds like, okay, she may know him, but that's not enough to make her rethink marrying someone of a very different faith. Okay, so she knows him, but like so much else in people who have certain faith sensibilities, if it becomes something kind of an inconvenient or a roadblock, not Not very, how would I put this? Quite often, the faith takes a back seat. We don't trust his faith. Okay, so she's bringing up some things about the Muslim faith that they don't understand. She also said, this is interesting, that she doesn't know if he's already married in Sudan where he is from, or if he will support her in raising the children Catholic. Please advise. Well, it sounds like you don't have the answers to these questions from your daughter. Is she open to hearing this? Will she shut you off the first moment you open your mouth? Gently, and saying, help us understand, what is it that you're planning marriage? What is it about this fella that you want to marry? And then she'll talk about all his positives. Where does his Muslim faith enter in? Do you see this as a problem? No, because he agrees. We'll raise the children Catholic. Okay. How will that be as this unfolds? Regarding baptisms, regarding first communions, regarding you going to church by yourself. The kids saying, why do we have to go to church if daddy doesn't when they're 14? I don't know how much she's thought about these things, possible complications, and I would ask her about the ones you can think of. But I would also think that even in raising these potential complications, that if she's bent on marrying this fella, then she's going to do it. She's going to do it. Are they getting married in the church? Will he agree to being married in the church? I mean, if you're asking me how do we advise this? How do we approach her? That means you haven't. So sit down with your husband and talk about, okay, what kinds of questions can we ask her that perhaps she hasn't considered, she hasn't thought of, and that she won't take as us threatening her happiness. If you start out, however gently you start out, and you meet a wall of resistance, then you're going to have to realize you're probably not going to get very much farther. And the situation will be, you'll watch as it unfolds. Will he consider converting at some point? Will the strain on the marriage become too great? The things that she didn't anticipate happened, and now it's a problem? How long has she known this guy? What, in fact, gives her assurance that all of this can be a shared deepening of faith toward God? Or it could be that she's kind of drifted from her own faith, and so her Catholic faith doesn't mean as much to her anymore. It's much more important to find a guy that she can relate to as she sees it. So all these are all unanswered, and she may not want to answer them. But if you do approach this, I think that's the way to approach it. It is not to say, well, we don't think you should do this because of this, or we don't think you should do this because of this. No, ask her. Say, well, do you see any complications with you taking the kids to church and him not going? Or what if at some point he really resents your Catholic faith? Or what if you have radically different views on morality regarding what the kids are allowed to see and experience? Do you know these things? Maybe if she's open enough to listen. She may delay the wedding at the very least, or she may say these are some potential obstacles that have the possibility of getting pretty complicated. That's what I would suggest, Mom. Dr. Ray here. Now, Catechism Wisdom with me, Dr. Ray Guarendi, and Father Larry Richards. Father Larry, church talks a lot about charity, right? Let me read to you something that the Catechism says, section 2447. The works of mercy are charitable actions by which we come to the aid of our neighbor in his spiritual and bodily necessities, instructing, advising, consoling, comforting are spiritual works of mercy. My profession says that we need to have people meet our needs. Now, this here seems to be a little, I don't want to say antagonistic, but maybe contrary to that.
The way of the world says me, me, me. The way of God says you, you, you. And when we sit there and we focus on the reality, it's in giving away your life, Jesus says, you find life. That is so anti-world, isn't it?
I serve to feel better?
Exactly. That's where we get everything. It's in giving away your life that you find life. That's the cross. That's the way of Christianity.
That's contrary to conventional wisdom.
Yeah, and that's the point.
Okay. Well, enough said there. Yeah, I'm sorry. Catechism puts things on its head according to conventional wisdom.
Absolutely. Jesus comes and changes the world and turns the world upside down and says, you want life, then you give away life. And it's in that we find true life. It's in serving that we become more fully who we are. As God left heaven, if you will, became a man and gave his life for us. And when we do the same, just as he found eternal life in his humanity, so will we. A life of self is a wasted life. God says, I'll take care of number one. You take care of others. And when you give away and you live a life of service, that's when you're going to find life.
So others are number one.
You got it. I have a thing that says, Jesus first, others second, yourself last. The life of joy, huh? That's the exact opposite of what the world says. But when you do that, you will have a joyful life.
I like that one, Andrew. I like that one a lot. Got time for one more e-person. I have a 6-year-old boy. And over the past few months or weeks, he has been getting aggressive when he's mad. This is newer behavior. He started hitting and pushing more. We took away certain privileges for a week because he misbehaved in church school, breaking crayons and then throwing them. And we made him write an apology note to the volunteer teacher. Here we are, 5 days later, and he punched a kid in the chest because that kid told him he couldn't play in that area of the playground. Help me fix this, Dr. Ray, and fix it fast. Well, that's the bad news. You may not be able to fix it fast, but we'll fix it good. This isn't good, she says. I've never dealt with this with all my other kids. Well, how many other kids do you have if you got 4, 5, 6? No, let me phrase it in a math equation. There is an inverse relationship. The more kids you have who don't do this, the more uptight and upset you'll get when you have one who does. If you only have one other kid who doesn't do this, your sample size is 1. My other son didn't do this, but if you have 5 kids and none of them were punching people and kicking people, you're thinking, what's wrong with this one? Well, there may be nothing wrong with this one. So let's look at some possible explanations. What is different in his life, if anything? Anything different? Different teacher, more permissive teacher, certain kids on the bus, kid he's hanging around with at school? Is he being more attracted to one kid? What is it in his environment? Has he been seeing anything he shouldn't be seeing? Is there a neighbor kid that he plays with that you thought was kind of safe and maybe not? Do some exploring. Find out what may have changed. After you do all your detective work and you conclude, I don't see anything, then you probably can conclude, well, he's 6. and he's feeling a little more feisty. Getting a little bigger, a little stronger. And his mindset right now is swing first, ask questions later. He did something in church school, and you responded, I think, beautifully. We took away certain privileges for a week. All right. Because he misbehaved. The only thing I would suggest about that, I don't know what you mean by certain privileges, because nowadays, when you take certain privileges away from kids, they got a whole bunch of other privileges that they just turn to. And parents will say that. We took that away from him. It was his favorite thing, and it didn't make any difference. I go, yeah, because he's still got 9 other favorite things. And they may not be his most favorite thing, but he can make do. So I would really want to know. I think it would be safe to say, no, you don't have any privileges. We're taking them all away. You hit anybody anymore, and you're blacked out for 3 days. No privileges, nothing. You can do that. 5 days later, he punched a kid in the chest. Okay, do it again. Tell him you have a new rule. Tell him, I don't know why you're doing this, son, but I'm going to tell you. It's automatic. If you kick, hit, punch, jump off the rope, soap in the eyes, throw a chair, you realize you're going to lose all your privileges for 3 days. All of them. You'll be able to go to bed early. You won't have any dessert. You won't have any of your toys. You will not have any of your stuffed animals. You will not be able to go outside. You will be able to just color. That's pretty much about it. You'll be able to color. That's it. Now, the question becomes, well, how long will that take? And will it work anyway? Well, I'll tell you, I've seen very, very few kids. I've been doing this a long time, especially 6-year-olds. When you respond with a certain strength in your consequence, they're not dumb. They stop it. Or they taper it, okay? It may be he's just by nature kind of an aggressive kid, and so he's going to have these little spurts of doing stuff like this, and you're going to keep a lid on it. You're going to hold him accountable, and you're going to say, yeah, I know, but it's not changing. And I ask, well, how long is it between these bouts? Oh, well, it's getting longer. Well, then he's improving. See, because we make the mistake of thinking, well, he should stop this. It should never happen again. No, it may happen again, but the next time will be 3 months from now, as opposed to your email what said 5 days from now. That's the difference. Improvement in self-control comes along various variable lines, and one of them is the expanding time frame between the bouts of misbehavior. Yeah, I would suspect that if you use the blackout here for him, that you won't necessarily automatically see him quit. You could. I've seen it happen. But it may be likely that 2.5 weeks from now, he'll do something similar. Okay. He's got to see you're going to do what you said. Now, at the moment when he's in the situation, he's not thinking about blackout. He's thinking about, I'm mad and I'm going to swing. Okay, impulsive, got it. But it takes time for him to realize, this has happened to me 4 times. I'm getting kind of tired of this. I better just keep my hands to myself. Keep my feet planted firmly on the floor. So, fix it fast, Mom. You can fix it fast in the sense that you teach. Rocky, if you do this, we're going to do this. You may not be able to fix it as fast as you'd like if, in fact, he does it a few more times. Don't press the panic button. All right. So, of all your kids, you got one who's more willing to solve problems through force. Well, you didn't have to teach your other kids so strictly. Well, this one you do. And I will tell you, I've been at this business a long time. And I've watched kids grow up through parents who are loving and firm in their authority. And I've watched the toughest of the kids go on to be the sweetest of adults. My son Peter is 28 years old. He was the most rugged, the toughest kid we ever had. He pulled stuff that none of our other kids dreamt of doing. He loves the faith. He adores his mother. So, have hope, Aaron. Have hope. This is Dr. Ray. I got to run. Andrew's giving me the stop signal. So there we go. Nice to have you with me. Walk with God, always and forever.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.